and several other distinguished guests who all care about the tragic shooting in Arizona that has affected us all, the whole country, and what it means and how we can prevent things like this from happening again. And I know you all join with me and all New Yorkers in expressing our deepest condolences to the families who've lost loved ones. Our prayers are especially with those who are fighting for their lives, and I know we've all found some hope in the latest encouraging sign from Congresswoman Giffords. Man's anger and madness transformed that basic act of democracy into a bloodbath. Senator McCain has labeled the shooter a disgrace to Arizona, to this country, and to the human race. I would add that he is also a disgrace to democracy, to everything that we stand for. When a public official is shot or a mass shooting occurs, a great deal of press coverage follows, as it should. But the reality is that every single day, 34 Americans are murdered by someone firing a gun. And most of those guns are purchased or possessed illegally. That means that on a daily basis, we experience a massacre larger than the one that we had at Virginia Tech. And even though the shootings in Blacksburg, Virginia, and Tucson, Arizona, happened nearly 4 years and 2,000 miles apart from one another, I think they both underscore systematic failures in the ways that guns are regulated in this country. The ideas I've laid out today have bipartisan support in our coalition, and we will work to earn bipartisan support for them in Congress. And one of our strongest allies will be Congressman Pete King. Congressman King has been a real leader on all issues of public safety, including gun violence, and I would like to invite him now to offer his thoughts on these proposals, and also to outline a fourth proposal that would give law enforcement officers an additional tool prohibiting people from carrying guns near certain high-ranking federal officials. Pete?
Thank you very much, Mayor Bloomberg. Thank you for the leadership that you've shown, not just here in New York City, but around the country, leading the Mayors Against Illegal Guns, the leadership you brought to Washington on this issue. And let me commend the mayors, both from New York and New Jersey, who are here today, in joining with you and for the work that they've done over the years. Let me also commend Commissioner Kelly for the job that he does here in New York, and let me, in a bit of parochial pride, thank the chiefs, police chiefs from Nassau County who are here today for the job that they do and for the leadership that they are showing. Let me also, of course, mention my good friend Steve McDonald, who knows firsthand the horrors of gun violence. Mayor, and also let me, very importantly, again express my condolences to my colleague, Congresswoman Giffords, and to the families of those who were wounded and murdered in Tucson. This was a blow against democracy. It was a bitter attack against democracy, not just against Congresswoman Giffords herself, but against the whole system and against her constituents. And that's why today, Mayor and I have discussed how we're introducing in the next several weeks legislation which would make it a federal crime to carry a weapon within 1,000 feet of any event which is attended by the President, the Vice President, members of the Senate, members of the House of Representatives, cabinet officials, including the CIA director, as well as federal judges. Right now you have situations such as Tucson where a person is allowed to carry a concealed weapon without a permit, and authorities have no power to even pat that person down or question them or whatever. So to me it's absolutely essential, not just to protect the individuals involved, not that members of Congress are a special class. The fact is they do represent the people who elect them. And it's essential if we're going to be able to continue to have contact and to have conversation between the public and the elected officials, that the public who is at these meetings can be assured of their own safety. So it's not just to protect someone like Congresswoman Giffords or other members of Congress or senators or even the President and Vice President, but also to protect the public who is there, to protect the staff members, the innocent bystanders who happen to be in that area. This legislation, I believe, is essential. I believe it's important. And I always believe if we can take a horrible tragedy and attempt to get something good out of it, then all is not lost. And I believe in this situation, as horrible as the tragedy is, the shooting of Congresswoman Giffords and the 6 who were murdered, the others who were wounded, if we can get some good results out of this, including the right to give police and the federal law enforcement, the authority and the right to stop those who come near a federal elected official or a federal appointed official with a concealed weapon or any gun whatsoever, then we will have taken at least one step. If this had been in effect in Tucson, we would certainly, a number of those who were killed and wounded would be alive today, and they would not be wounded in any way. So with that, I thank the mayor for his leadership, and I pledge to him and to everyone here on the podium today that I will do all I can in a bipartisan way to have this legislation move through the House of Representatives in the earliest time. Thank you very much.
I'll start with the NYPD Commissioner, the best police commissioner of this city has ever had, Ray Kelly, right?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're joined this morning by Tatiana Timoshenko, whose son Russell Timoshenko, police officer Russell Timoshenko, was shot and killed on the streets of Brooklyn in 2007. Now, the attempted assassination of Congresswoman Giffords, the killing of 6 other people, the wounding of so many others, while shocking, boils down to, unfortunately, a very familiar story, and that is handguns in the hands of the wrong people. And in New York City, this usually means a young man armed with a weapon easily purchased out of state. Arizona is an easy state.
Maybe we do have to do a better job of getting our message out. Let me say, from a conservative perspective, we have to have a stable society. We have to keep crime down. You cannot do that if the police know, if the police cannot be assured that you're not going to have so many illegal guns out there. To have a stable and secure society, we have to remove illegal guns. That's not a liberal position, that should be a conservative position. So we can have strong law and order, we can stand by the police. I'm saying there's a bit of bias. My father was on the NYPD for over 30 years, and to me, the thought that you can just have illegal guns coming into New York from wherever, Virginia, or whatever other state, the fact is you can have states where people can carry guns without any type of permit and can't be questioned or can't be stopped. This, to me, undermines the fabric of society. So from a very conservative point of view of maintaining order, I believe it's essential that we have these common sense regulations regarding guns, and there is a real role for the federal government. As Mayor Bloomberg said, you can have very sensible laws here in New York, but if we have gun shows in other states, we have illegal guns being trafficked up to New York, then the police officers from New York or Nassau County, or Washington, or Malvern, or Hempstead, they don't know what illegal guns are out in their community as a result. And so, from that perspective, I think we have to make a better argument coming out of a very law and order conservative perspective. Yeah, they mean well. Part of it is a cultural difference in other parts of the country where people are basically raised with guns in their home. One of the first things they do is learn how to shoot a gun. It's a part of a culture, and they look at it as their rights as individuals to carry weapons. And I don't think they think through the full consequences of what happens when there are no reasonable regulations on weapons. No one wants to take away guns, as the mayor said, from those who legally should have them, from those who do not have mental illness, do not have criminal backgrounds. But why we would want someone like Lochner to have the right to carry a weapon? To me, we can restrict his right to carry a weapon without impinging on the rights of any lawful American to carry weapons. I just think that they see if you pass any regulation on guns whatsoever, that's the first step toward taking away their guns. And we have to make it clear that is not the case. I mean, believe me, I've been in Congress now 19 years. I'm trying to understand it, and that's where I'm at.
Yes. Somehow deserve it of more protection than anybody else.
Yeah, 2 things. One, for the federal government to become involved, you have to show a federal interest or federal rationale. For instance, there was a federal law several years ago about guns in a certain range of schools, and that was struck down by the court. So by limiting it to federal officials, federal cabinet officers, federal judges, that I believe would make it constitutional and would, again, pass the constitutional test. Also, as far as why elected officials, as I said in my statement, elected officials are not special, but by creating a climate of fear where people might be afraid to come out and meet their elected official, thinking that somebody in the crowd may have a gun, I believe by passing a law such as this, you make it easier for people to come out, make them feel more relaxed and comfortable in coming out to meet their elected official.
I also think that it's terribly important.
Security detail, the way the mayor does, the way the president does. Do you think that that's going to, and among constituency colleagues, is that going to deter members of Congress from going out to their communities? Are they going to start notifying local police of community events? Do you think that that's something necessary in the wake of Tucson, or?
Well, I think security is going to be reassessed. I would think that what you will see is having members of Congress, when they are going to be holding a public event, they will contact local police and let the police decide whether or not there is any threat, and let the police provide the level of security that they feel is needed. You know, we're not cops. We should be telling people what to do. But I do think we have an obligation, not just to ourselves, but to the public, to let the police know when there is going to be a public event, and then let the police decide the level of security, if any, that's needed. Just leaving a press conference with Mayor Bloomberg and Commissioner Kelly down here at New York City Hall, basically to introduce legislation that I believe is essential to protect federal officials from maniacs and deranged people who have weapons, by saying it would be a crime to bring a concealed weapon anywhere within 1,000 feet of a congressman, senator, president, vice president, or cabinet official. This is not just to protect those officials, but the people who want to meet with them in public gatherings. So I'll be introducing the legislation in the next several weeks. I want to thank Mayor Bloomberg and Commissioner Kelly for their leadership.